Yes!
Hey everyone, Dante here with the Raging Geek, and today we're going to take a look at some action figures from the 7 Deadly Sins anime series. You could watch this series on Netflix. This set of action figures, this is from McFarlane Toys, and you can find these pretty much anywhere you can find McFarlane Toys. So most of the major retailers, Target, GameStop, they go for anywhere between $18 and $20. Online, Amazon, it's pretty competitive. They're selling theirs for about just under $20, and on eBay you're looking anywhere between probably like $23 to $30. And they're not too hard to find. You know, usually you have to hunt around, though, if you want to try to get all the figures. You know, it's usually like they either have one or the other. They never have all three. I personally got my Meliodas and Bond figure from Target, and then I got my Escanor from Amazon. So I'm a big fan of the series. For personal favorite character is Escanor. I love how his power increases and wanes with the phase of the sun in the sky. The higher the sun gets, you know, the more powerful he gets. It's really cool. These action figures, they advertise 22 moving parts. They each come with a weapon. So Escanor has his axe Rita, Meliodas has his dagger, and Bond has his triple nunchuck. So if you're a fan of the series, these action figures in particular, you know, they will really appeal to anyone who watches the series and likes that true to anime likeness. I mean, these figures pretty much look like they stepped out of the animation cells themselves and you know, came into real life, because these are really true to likeness looking action figures. I also have a surprise figure appearance. I'm not going to say who it is, but there's going to be another surprise character appearance in this video, and we'll see that later. You know, without even taking them out of the box and just looking at them, I mean, I like them already. You know, I can't stop reiterating, you know, if you like the series, I mean, these figures are really a must-have. So in particular, these figures, the only other thing they have out there is maybe the Good Smile statues. And, you know, there's pretty much not much else out there right now. You know, there's a bunch of stuff out there for Elizabeth. But let's take a closer look. This is the 7 Deadly Sins. These are action figures from McFarlane Toys. Let's take a look. Okay, so where to begin? Definitely some observations made when taking these figures out of the box and then trying to pose them without their stands. So, you know, with these anime type figures, and it's true to likeness, I mean, it's so true to likeness that, you know, obviously you see that there's some major disproportionality going on here, you know, mostly at the feet and the ankles. You know, so Escanor, as you can see, extremely top heavy. His legs are, and in particular his ankles, are very difficult to pose. So you kind of have to balance his upper body with his lower body in such a way where it doesn't tip over. You know, I would say that you're kind of limited to the type of poses you can do with Escanor, because, you know, aside from this straight up and down type pose, I don't really think you can do much else, because moving of the ankles is, or at least the feet, is virtually not present. I mean, you can't, I mean, aside from the toes here, that which you can go up and down quite easy, the rest of the foot doesn't go up and down at all. It twists slightly, and it might go up and down like very slightly, but it's very restricted. And you know, you can't really adjust his footing too well in any respect. And even 1 foot more than the other. So his right foot, I mean, it moves less than the left foot does, which is very odd. Very limited on the foot posing. You know, if you don't have him like really standing up at attention, you know, with his chest puffed out like this, I mean, he's gonna tip over. So yeah, I mean, they definitely put a lot of focus on the articulation in his upper body. So the arms, I mean, the arms flex really good, you know, comparable to like a Marvel Legends figure. His arms are like double ball jointed at the shoulders, which gives great mobility. I mean, he can stretch out like he's yawning. He's like, oh, what a sunny day. Where's Rita? Where's my ex Rita? Oh, look at the sun. Oh, my sunny day. Oh, so A plus for the upper body mobility. You know, he twists at the upper torso. He also twists at the waist. Head goes slightly left to right. I mean, it doesn't really tilt at all up and down. So limited on the head. Great arm movement. Upper body is okay. The legs at the hips are not too bad. Just something to note. I mean, it can be a little tricky to stand him without a stand. You know, if he's not like in the really basic upright position. So, you know, something like this, no issues. Anything other than this, you can. It is doable, but you know, you definitely it can be tricky, and you risk him tipping over. And it's like I said. I mean, you just got to get it just right because you know, he's just so top heavy that he'll tip over. But I love the likeness. Get a closer look at Escanor. Look at me. I'm Escanor. I only have eyes for Merlin. Where's Rita? Where's my Rita? Oh, there she is. Let me go get her. Oh, let's get Rita. So the box has a nice pose with Rita placed on his shoulder like that. So I'm going to try to do that. One thing I'm a little concerned with is getting Rita in his hands, which seems to be a bit tough. Because this is a very thick handle, and if you could see the opening in his hand, I mean, that's a really snug fit. Now, you're really going to have to pry that hand open to get Rita in there. So I'm curious how this is going to work. I want to say, you know, aside from, I think they could have done maybe a little better with the legs and the feet, you know, making it easier to pose. But as a collector and as a fan of the series, I want to say, you know, I definitely give the Escanor figure an A+, minus any gripes I have about the posing, because it does stand if you put a little time and effort into it. And you know, worst case, you always do have the stand itself, so that should take care of any issues that you might have doing a more complex pose. I want to say, we'll put you on the side for now, Escanor. You're done with the strongest of the strong? Okay. So next we have Meliodas. Now, you know, just to get a look at the scale here, I mean, yes, Meliodas looks like a little boy next to Escanor. You know, he's definitely got a more cartoonish look about him than all the other figures. And, you know, he's almost like an elf, I want to say. I mean, just with his attire and his shoes, it's almost like some sort of Christmas elf. But he's another one here where the legs are extremely skinny in comparison to anything else. I mean, just take a look at that. I mean, and look at the rest of his body. I mean, these legs are really skinny, and they're very flimsy feeling. Look at that. But yeah, I mean, they feel really flimsy. Not sure how much you're going to get away with as far as posability. Now, another observation with Meliodas. Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, you know, the head, really flimsy. You know, pops off easy. Again, with the ankles, I mean, getting this guy to pose on his own, it can be a challenge. I would definitely say the legs on Meliodas are not the best for standing. So you can manage something like that. Yeah, so the legs are really stiff. They're also restricted by this kind of oversized shirt, if you want to call it that, or jacket that he's wearing. So, I mean, they're limited to, their flexibility as far as the shirt or jacket will allow. You get a lot of articulation with the arms, though. It's pretty good. So the Meliodas figure, not really meant for playing as much as the Escanor figure. Really just kind of find that right pose and display it. The ankles are flimsy, the legs are very stiff. They don't really make for good posing. His head is kind of flimsy also. I mean, it popped off on me for no apparent reason. I managed to get it back on. But, as far as a high quality action figure, Meliodas, I'd probably give him I want to say worse if I wasn't a fan, but I'm going to give him a B minus as far as how he grades as an action figure. For likeness, they all get an A or better. But yeah, as far as an action figure, I mean, this I want to say gets a B minus at best. One cool thing is that his dagger, or if you want to call it sword, it has a sheath in the back, which is pretty cool. So you can put it in there. I always love sheaths and scabbards. For action figures, it just adds such a nice quality to the action figure. And that's Meliodas for you. Give you a closer look at Meliodas. Now Bon. Take a look at Bon. One thing I noticed with Bon, they kind of cheaped out with the triple nunchuck here. Meaning, so they're not independent of each other, each section of the nunchuck. It's pretty much just one plastic mold, and it's slightly bendable between each section. But it would have been nice if they would have put maybe some rope or like some sort of chain in between them. That would have been pretty cool. As far as likeness, take a look at Vaughn. Very great cartoon likeness. Now, as far as posability, I want to say probably Bon is the best out of the lot. His head moves good. His arms move well. You get full range of motion with the arms. His legs too move good, even though they're kind of restricted by his long trench coat. But I want to say he's probably the easiest out of the lot to get to stand, because he has the best weight distribution. I want to say. So, though you can't do that of an elaborate pose with Bon, because of the trench coat. Come on, now you all know who's the coolest of the bunch. So Bon stands pretty nice on his own. Again, they really made an effort to keep the scale of these figures good. So as I promised, there's a special guest appearance. And if you hadn't guessed already, yes, it's the lovely Elizabeth. This, not an action figure, but a Good Smile Company pop-up parade figure. Anyone who watches the series knows that, Meliodas is a bit on the touchy-feely side with Elizabeth. Not really true to scale, but it still looks good. I would definitely have no issues posing it. I mean, you get the idea. In the series, Meliodas and Elizabeth, the love item. She does have her legs bent somewhat, so, I mean, you could say that, she's kind of bending a bit, so she's more to, so she's not at her full height right now. But, yeah, she definitely could be a little taller. Yeah, the Good Smile figure, I mean, you could find those on Amazon or eBay for about $45-50. They're not too hard to find. You might even get lucky and find it at your local comic store. I noticed a lot of these comic stores have been carrying more pop-up parade figures, so something to keep an eye out for. Definitely a good group photo here. So, as I mentioned before, if you're a fan of the Netflix series 7 Deadly Sins, I would definitely look into picking up these figures. They're really cool figures. They're great for displaying. They can be temperamental posing. The legs can be a bit awkward, and specifically the feet and ankles on all the figures are very difficult to manipulate and pose. In the case of Meliodas, I mean, the feet are just so small that it's like kind of working with pegs for feet. But check it out. You can probably find these at Target or GameStop. If you can't find it in store, they're available at places like Amazon. You should always be able to get these for around $20. Stay away from eBay on this one. This was The Raging Geek. I hope you enjoyed this video. Come again soon. Take care. How impudent of you to watch anything other than The Raging Geek.
Raging Geek, Retro, all things geek, we're geeks and be geeks. Raging Geek, Retro, all things geek, we're geeks and be geeks.